Do you ever feel like there's climate hypocrisy from our political leaders? I certainly do, whether it's prime ministers or presidents taking private jets or driving round in gas-guzzling armoured motorcades. There appears to be a do as I say, not as I do approach. And that's before we've got started on celebrities like Emma Thompson jetting in from America to attend an Extinction Rebellion march, or spending the summer on a super yacht, or Prince Harry's very own private jet. But at a more local level, I think if our politicians are going to force us to make huge, costly changes to our lives, they should lead the way and do it themselves. I was shocked yesterday when I spoke to Labour's Shadow Environment Secretary, Steve Reid, who was super critical of Rishi Sunak's announcement that he was going to slow down net zero enforcement to try to mitigate the cost of new electric vehicles and heat pumps for the poorest in society. So I asked Mr Reid if he had a heat pump in his own home. Here's what he said. Do you have a heat pump?
No, I don't. I have a normal gas-fueled boiler.
When are you getting a heat pump? When are you getting a heat pump?
When we've got a Labour government that's going to invest in making heat pumps cheaper than the alternative.
OK. I then asked him if he had an electric vehicle. Please tell me you've got an electric car.
No, I haven't got an electric car, but if I buy a new one after 2030, I will. No, because this is policy that is set by a national government. We have to have the national government put in the infrastructure so that we can move to this. Right. We've got 6 years before 2030, and the government is way behind its own targets.
I just find that absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it will cost people thousands and thousands of pounds to change to an electric vehicle, to have their boiler replaced, and most people are not on the nearly £90,000 a year that our politicians rake in, let alone the generous expenses scheme or the money that they might earn from second jobs. If net zero is that unaffordable for people like him, for high earners, OK, then how do they expect the average Joe to pay for it? If they really thought that there was a climate emergency, and this is crucial, if they really believed that there was a climate emergency and we all had to pay up for the sake of this planet's future, wouldn't they be doing everything that they could to mitigate their own carbon footprint? And if the excuse for not taking those steps in their lives is that the government hasn't subsidised it enough, which I think is what he was alluding to there, then that means that they want the taxpayer to have to pay for their own eco-upgrades and everybody else's as well. Can we afford that as a nation? Look, whenever I see politicians pushing a rapid net zero agenda and they themselves haven't bothered to do what they want everybody else to do, that indicates to me that they admit that it's too expensive, it's happening too quickly, and that maybe we can, as a human race, afford to take things a little bit more slowly. There has been a lot of talk about Britain no longer being world-leading when it comes to fighting climate change. Well, actually, we are largely through the measures that we've already taken, and slowing down a little bit will just mean that we are coming into line with a lot of other comparable nations. But why should Doreen in Doncaster have to go bankrupt so our political elites can stand on a stage with other global elites and pat themselves on the back?